In this chapter, we're going to take a look at this elusive, mysterious secondary name node that we've been avoiding this whole time. We're going to look at what it does, which is basically fsimage and edits log compaction, and we're also going to look at its compaction function in a high availability environment. First of all, let's introduce the players. We have the name node and the secondary name node. We have an fsimage file, which is a point-in-time snapshot of HDFS, and we have an edits log file, which is the deltas since that snapshot. Why do we have two files? Well, opening a big file is slow, and we'll see that fsimage gets to be very, very big. Edits log is a small file. It's only the deltas since the last snapshot, and opening this much smaller file is going to be a whole lot easier. But then that begs the question, who makes this snapshot? Who keeps making this fsimage? That is the secondary name node. The secondary name node is possibly the worst name ever in software. It doesn't do anything like hot failover. It's for checkpointing only, which means on a regular basis, every 1 hour by default, it copies the fsimage log and the edits log from the name node. It merges them into a new fsimage point-in-time snapshot and then writes that fsimage back to the name node. The secondary name node does that and only that. It is in no way, shape, or form a hot failover mechanism. It only does a compaction every hour by default to keep that edits log small and to keep Hadoop running fast. The secondary name node in a live environment can be down for a short period of time. HDFS will continue to work just fine, but if you leave it off long enough, the edits log is going to grow large, and HDFS will experience a noticeable slowdown. Your recovery time objective, or RTO, is going to go longer. RTO is essentially how long it takes you to get everything back up. The name node itself will do a compaction on restart, but if edits log has grown large when it does that compaction, it means that it'll take longer for you to get started. Your recovery point objective, or RPO, could also be affected. RPO is basically how much data loss you could experience in a catastrophic situation. If the hardware, for example, on the name node goes catastrophic and your fsimage is much longer than 1 hour, you've now lost all that extra data from the time that you had a snapshot. The secondary name node also heavily impacts your hardware considerations. Because it loads the fsimage and the edits log into memory, it's going to require just as much RAM as your name node. If the name node does go catastrophic, you can use this secondary name node machine to quickly build a replacement, typically in just an hour or so. This is why I recommend that if at all possible, you should put your secondary name node daemon onto a second master machine right from the get-go when you're building your cluster, obviously with the same RAM or memory specs as your name node machine. It's still okay to have the name node and the job tracker running on a separate machine, but giving this secondary name node its own hardware gives us the ability to rebuild its function if the name node goes down. In high availability setups that we cover in other chapters, we now have a standby name node, which is actually a hot or warm failover machine. Obviously, it was given this name because secondary was already taken. The standby name node now performs the checkpointing that used to be performed by the secondary name node. Hopefully in this chapter we've been able to shed light on what the secondary name node is, what it does, and how it does compaction in high availability.